Hey everybody, I'm Jack Rita, and I'm a designer for the expansions to the Gale Force 9 2019 edition of the classic Dune board game. And I'm going to talk about another power alliance in the series of them that is possible with the release of the Chome and Richess expansion, and that is the alliance between the Harkonnen and Chome, or what I call the double treachery card alliance. And that is because of their stockpile potential of treachery cards. The Harkonnen, they have a hand size that goes up to 8. Every time they buy a treachery card, they get another one for free. And Chome has a hand size of 5. Chome is also an economic faction. So anytime the Harkonnen, which is not an economic faction, can find an ally who is able to help them buy treachery cards, the Harkonnen becomes a very powerful and feared faction to have in the game. And with Chome, they're getting their charity income pretty much every turn, and that in a 6-player game can be as high as 12 spice. So if they're able to funnel some spice over to the Harkonnen during the bidding round, they can buy a card and get 2. It's a much better input for them. 2 cards for the price of 1 is a great, because then the Chome alliance ability is 2 things, actually, but one of them is that once per game turn, at the end of any phase, they can trade treachery card with their ally, as long as it's a 2-way trade. Each one is giving and receiving a card. So when Harkonnen inevitably end up getting a worthless card as part of their 2-for-1 purchase, they can give that treachery card to Chome, who can make good use of it, and Chome can give them something that they need for their hands so that they can get in a position to have multiple weapons, multiple defenses, other special effects that they can use to leverage for combat. And again, because Harkonnen has the 2-for-1 and they're buying extra cards thanks to Chome's income, if they've got multiple shields or snoopers, or they've got 3 projectile weapons, they can funnel those over to Chome, and Chome can either have the weapons or defenses that they need, or if they get duplicate shields, they can sell the extra one for spice. And they can sell those worthless cards as well if what they need is spice. But between the 2 of them, they should be able to get spice fairly effectively, and they should be able to have a lot of powerful combat effectiveness because of treachery cards. And the other handy thing in advanced that Chome gets to do is use their Auditor. The Auditor can be a very powerful effect because you get to see cards in the other player's hands, the cards that they didn't use in their battle plan. The Auditor survives the battle in which it is revealed as a leader. They get to see 2 cards from their opponent's hand that weren't part of their battle plan. And if the Auditor dies, they still get to see 1 card. Now, of course, the player can bribe Chome to not see one of those cards. In fact, this doesn't even count as a bribe. It's a payment. So if they're like, oh, I don't really want you to see this card, they have to pay. And it's just 1 spice per card that Chome would get to see. But it's a kind of an all or nothing thing. So if the Auditor survives the battle and they get to see 2 cards, that player can pay Chome 2 spice to not see any of them. They can't say, well, here's 1. You can see 1 card and I'll give you 1 spice. It's all or nothing. So, and the great thing about that Auditor is they can be revived at any time for 2 spice. Doesn't matter how many of Chome's leaders there are. The Auditor can't be a Gola, and the Auditor can't get captured by the Harkonnen. So Chome has plenty of Auditors. So if they lose one, there's always another one handy. So a very effective thing. They get the card knowledge. They know what defenses or weapons a faction has, or other information. They find out, oh, someone has the poison tooth, or they've got artillery strike that they've been saving. They know that now because they can put the Auditor out there and acquire that information. Whereas the other players are going to be confused about who has what because of the trading, the card trading that Chome can do. Every game turn, they can say, let's trade a card, and they should. You should be trading cards, especially if you've got the Atreides or the Ixians in the game, especially if you have revealed cards in earlier battles. And then they're like, well, he had a poison weapon, but now maybe Chome has their poison weapon. I don't know. And of course, the alliance ability with the Harkonnen is that they can call traitors when Chome gets into battle. So they should really put their heads together and figure out who is vulnerable to traitor calls and harass those players, go after their strongholds, and kill their leaders. The Harkonnen, of course, can capture leaders. So if a Harkonnen has a sugar daddy in Chome, giving them really powerful weapons and defenses and some information about who has what, Harkonnen should go on a killing spree. They should go try to win some battles so that they can capture leaders and just stockpile all of these captured leaders. I like to capture them. You can kill them for 2 spice, but again, Harkonnen, they don't need the spice if they've got Chome giving them spice for payments and for treachery cards. So it's a very effective combination between them. They want to get every card in the deck because they can make use of just about everything in there, and they can get rid of it, get it out of the Harkonnen hand into Chome's hand, who can more easily use those cards, in particular the worthless cards, for special effects. I was in a game, I was in an alliance, I was Chome, I was in an alliance with Harkonnen. We devastated the Atreides in a battle, and even though they were getting their Kwisatz, it didn't really matter because Chome had the La La La, which they played to prevent Atreides from getting free revival that turn. And so they were hurting. They didn't have very much spice. They couldn't get any reserves out of the tanks, and they had a lot of their forces in the tanks. And then we just walked all over them and everyone else. So very powerful alliance. So I encourage you, pick up Chome and Richess so that you can have Chome allied with the Harkonnen in a game, and then weep from the horrible double treacherousness of that particular alliance. So let me know what you think of this alliance. Have you seen them in the game? Are you looking forward to seeing them match up, or are you living in dread of the Harkin and Chome alliance? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.